gun to my left here, they had an issue with the valve in the pit, so it hasn't been able to make snow yet. So this has got no snow on it, but through here they've got snow, and I'm going down to what they call the old road. And I'm going to try and link up. There's some whales on there. I want to try and link them up so that they can see if they need to make more, and go from there. I've never been down there before, so I don't actually know the way. But by the GPS, it looks like I'm just going to keep to the right of the guns, and I should be on the right path, basically. Really nice sunrise. Obviously in a Bison X today. The 600 is just having a birthday. We need to do some bits and pieces on that. And it had a fault yesterday, so they just want to check over and make sure it's working good with it. I used it all day, it worked fine, but I just want to double check. It's pre-season, so now's the time to deal with any issues that might pop up. If a cat's walked over the slope, the floor, then it's usually mapped. You can see where the depth is before you drive over it, but because I'm probably the first cat with the GPS going over it, I'm mapping it myself. adjust how I use my arms. So in a Prinoth, the way their trainers or reps or whatever taught us to use them, taught me to use them anyway, was when you're driving, you push your sticks all the way forward, you use the throttle to control your speed, and if you want to turn, you obviously pull back on the right one to turn right, or pull back on the left one to turn left. I find if I'm grooming or pushing up a slope or something, that's a real quick way to spin out, but it's just me. When I'm in a piston bully, the way I like to operate is go from neutral, and then I get the throttle to the right RPM, which is about 1300 RPM, and then I'll feather the sticks into what speed I want to be doing. So if I want to go faster, I push them further forward. If I want to slow down, I'll pull them back. It's very weird, two different ways of operating very similar machines, but it's fun to bounce around and do it differently, isn't it? It seems to work. They are similar drive systems, but different at the same time. Supposedly you should be able to basically change forward to reverse without touching neutral in between in these, and it's fine on the pumps. It's not going to blow a hose or damage the drives or anything. I guess old habits of driving a bulldozer, I still let my foot off the throttle, although in a dozer you actually push your foot down on the throttle to slow down. Everything's different. Similar concept, but very different. chunky, this stuff. I just got to sort of bulk it to where I want it, and then I think I'll turn around and carry on pushing out the other whales. And when I come back at the end, I'll re-trim it when it's frozen a bit. Stop it being so chunky. Something this bison has that I haven't come across in any of the other ones. I'd heard that it was a thing, but never seen it. It's got a slidey seat. So if I really wanted to, I could slide the seat all the way to the left and sit over there, like I'm driving a PB. But I think they've had some issues with it. It's a good concept, but I think it sort of rattles apart and I'm reluctant to use it in case I break it. So the centre will have to do. Good idea. I didn't realise it's actually mechanical. It's electronic. So it's not one where you just pull a lever up and then slide it to the side. It actually has motors that rolls it to the side. Oh, sorry, I must have pocket called you. Change your sides because the battery's nearly dead, and I don't know if this will actually charge at the rate that the battery's going to go down, but we'll see. Just carrying on pushing out these whales. Hopefully the sun glare isn't messing with the camera. I don't have any ND filters for that camera, so what you see is what you get. Sunny's out. Heck of a morning. Probably not so nice down in the valley, but up here, eye candy. Oh, hold it. Quite hard to see. 0 degrees anyway, it probably needs to be switched off. I decided to leave that lance on. This is saying 0 degrees, but the weather vane on the lance is telling it that it's -3, so maybe the temperature gauge, sensor, whatever. The sensor in this might not be working properly. My experience with these bisons is a lot of the time the thermostat sort of goes wrong, I guess, after a while. I had one that was telling us it was about 4,000 degrees. That was fun. These are good for grooming, but the blade is just somewhat average for pushing, like bulk pushing. It's just the shape. I mean, I've done a video on this before. I did a lot of pushing with the same model Bison X in Salin when we were clearing all the snow off the slopes for the summer, because they were going to be doing earthworks on the slopes. I just couldn't find a good way to make it bulk push very well. But they groom well, they've got a good shape for grooming. But they're not good at accumulating, it sort of just lumps and stops. And if you get the angle wrong on the blade, it'll sort of just cut a dip and keep going. Hard to explain, but it doesn't seem to curl the snow very nicely. Maybe I'll get better at pushing during the season. Who knows? I'm going to have to, because this is what I did. And just direct comparison with using a 600 yesterday and using this today, I just find the 600 just bulk pushes a lot better. It's not a torque or horsepower thing. It's just a blade geometry and control thing. ever find yourself doing this sort of thing where you got a whale there and you kind of want to keep it there, you don't want as much as possible, you want to keep it from going over the bank where snow is not useful. That's why I'm cutting it on an angle and trying to wing it that way. I'm giving it every opportunity to go into the middle of the road rather than fall off the bank. You just got to be careful, like know the width of the machine. You don't want your tracks on that downhill side to be on the flat ground and the tracks up here to be on the uphill side like that. So your tracks are sitting like that, because that's how you'll tear belts or rip track guides out or just destroy the wheels. So you do want a flat surface for your tracks to ride on where possible. That's why sometimes you'll see me taking little nibbly bites into it. You can overhang a track, because the balance on a snowcat, the ground pressure is spread out over the grousers and the tracks, but its main pressure point is in the center of the tracks, to where the wheels are. So as long as whatever you're sitting on, you got your wheel, the grousers sort of stick out a wee way, as long as whatever you're on is out to there, like your ground level's coming out to here, you'll be fine. But you don't want to start doing that, because then the weight is going to push on your grouser and bend it up, and then yeah, you'll pull it off the wheel, or again you'll rip the rubber off the wheel, you'll bend grousers. So it might look a little gnarly, but it's not really that bad, as long as you're conscious of what you're doing to the machine. So it's good to check both mirrors while you're reversing too. You can see when one grouser is going to bend up if you just started backing over a pile you didn't see or something. You don't want to do that. That's how you damage track here. A little bit more forgiving on a bulldozer or something where your entire track is steel. But these are steel at least, so they're a bit stronger, but they're still held together by rubber. And yes, the rubber belts have got wire through them, so they're relatively strong, but you've still got the weight of the machine on them on the wrong angle. They're still going to bend and rip apart. So you can see my track's riding up that a little bit, but it's not so bad. But you'll see it if you look in your mirrors, you'll see your grousers bending up if you start walking over something you shouldn't. Like if you start climbing up one of those windrows a little bit too far, you'll notice it in the mirrors. And if you don't notice it in the mirrors, you probably should start looking at your mirrors more. It's also one of the reasons I open my wings when I'm pushing like this. You're just giving it that little bit more space. And on piston bully, the width you're pushing is, with the wings closed, that's basically the width of the machine with the tracks. So you're getting the bare minimum, and if anything falls in behind you, then it's going to cause your grousers to roll up when you reverse back down your slot or wherever you've just been pushing. So the piston bully, most of the time I'm opening one wing all the way, like 90 degrees with the rest of the blade. If I want snow to go that way, I'll pull my wing open there and keep that wing closed. Vice versa, if you want to put snow that way, you open that wing. Prinoths are a bit different. Their blades are wider. So I think with the wings closed, your blade is the width of the tiller, I think. Can't remember exactly, it's been a while since I've driven one. So already with your wings closed, basically the width of the tracks is where those two big cutting bars are. Those bars are designed to be swung around, they're on little swivels. You swing them around to the edge of the blade, to your wings, so you can cut features square in the park, jumps, whatever. But yeah, that's roughly the width of your tracks, is those two bars there. So you got that little, you probably got half a metre either side, maybe 300 mils either side of the cab of the Prinoth. So when you open your wing, you're actually creating a lot more space. not super important when you're just pushing with no tiller on, but when it comes to pushing with the tiller on, yeah, you want to open a wing at least just to make some space for the tiller to follow you. The other thing you got to worry about sitting on something like this is like the middle of the, there is a summer road through here, but it goes probably through maybe the middle of the cap, probably a little bit further to the right. So all this snow is sitting on the edge of the track, and depending how it was made and when it was made, they could shelf and just crack and fall away. You got to pay attention to that when you're reversing, see if it's going to start splitting or dropping or anything. Shit happens sometimes, but if you can be aware of what might happen, then you're a bit more prepared for it. Sometimes you just got to take those little risks, but yeah, as you can see, it looks pretty solid. It's not like it's not super dry, so it's not likely to just fall away unless underneath it is dry. I don't think it was. I think this was pretty wet when it went in, so that whole pile should be pretty dense and sticky. Now here's something I was talking about earlier, working on these whales on the edge of a road. So see, this one has quite a big crack in it. So if I stick my track on that, there's a good chance that whole thing will slide away underneath me. So I'm going to have to cut underneath it and then just sort of try and hook it in without putting the weight of the machine on there. Because if I get my grousers on the wrong side of that, then me and all that are going to go on a skate down there. It might not be far, but it's far enough to do some damage to this thing.